Hey everyone. So, a lot of people feel like the UK has fallen, and me included. I really feel like the UK is a shell of its former self. A country that used to be so thriving, so wonderful, but nowadays just feels quite bleak and depressing. Just becomes so run down in a lot of cases. Just like a lot of, I think it's since a lot of the industries have shut down. Like, look at the old coal mining towns, for example, that have been completely decimated. But that was really just the start of it, and it's been going downhill ever since. Like we've had recessions, we've had really bad economic times. We've had obviously with the lockdowns, that's really messed things up, and yeah, it's just absolutely terrible. And a lot of small businesses are shutting down because of social media, and the internet has just completely destroyed it. Um, and people are just feeling just they're not they're just feeling unambitious. They're not feeling like there's any way to get ahead in life anymore. Like, for example, to buy a house even 10, 20 years ago was so much easier. The mortgage rates were a lot lower. The house prices were a lot lower, and people's purchasing power was a lot better. Like the wage to like a mortgage rate was a lot better even just a few years ago. And now a lot of young people are now being priced out of home ownership, and some are saying that that's deliberate. There's this whole kind of thing about you'll own nothing and be happy, and it feels like the UK is one of the leading countries where this is going to be the case. For a lot of people, they're going to be priced out of owning their own home. You've got companies like BlackRock that are buying up homes left and right, just completely making it so difficult for these young people to get on the property ladder. It's all right for the people who are already on the property ladder, but what about these new people that are growing up right now? A lot of people are just giving up because people were sold this idea at one time of like the American dream or just the Western dream that if you work hard and you keep at it, and then eventually you can retire and still be able to have money to be able to go on holidays every year with your family and have a white picket fence, all this kind of stuff. It's just it's just not really the case for a lot of people now, unless you really are quite smart with how you make your money. Like you become more smart with like investing in the right things and being willing to sacrifice years of not spending anything at all, because it is possible still to buy a house if you really just spend so much time just saving every single penny that you have. But that could be a bit miserable. And it's just a lot of people are thinking, what, I give up. I'm just going to blow all my money and forget about the whole idea of owning a home. There's also other people that are looking into alternatives like van life, for example, or living off grid, or even moving abroad to a country like Thailand or the Philippines or something like that, where the cost of living is a lot cheaper. But it's like you've got to make sure you have some kind of income from a Western nation like the UK or the US, for example, probably to get a good living over there. So, for example, if you're like, for example, if you're doing some online business like coaching, And some people are making absolute bank moving to a different country doing that. So that's what a lot of people are doing. I mean, the thing is, there's still more people coming into this country than leaving. And some people might say, well, that means that this country is good. It has its good points, like it's got relatively good infrastructure, even though it started crumbling, but still better than a lot of other countries. Like the NHS, even though it's declining, it's still better than a lot of the healthcare in other parts of the world, especially places like the East, in some of these second and third world countries. And there's still some good things about the UK, even things like, you know, tap water. It's a lot better than, I remember, I think even Spain, like that, they wouldn't be able to drink it there. Because I was on holiday in Spain like some time ago, and they said don't drink the tap water here because it's dirty. It's not been gone through the purification process. So also, just like food hygiene standards here are pretty good. So it's just, yeah, it's like people are thinking, is it even worth it? Having these little kind of benefits of this country, but is it worth it overall when you could arguably live a much better life abroad if that these things don't bother you? If you can get an online business, it may very well be better to base it abroad where your money goes twice as far or even three times as far as it would in the UK. And then you'd have a lot more disposable income. You have quote unquote financial freedom. Maybe you don't need that much money for financial freedom if you're living abroad. So yeah, it's just the thing is, a lot of people are being scammed with things like courses because they're desperate to better their financial situation. They're sick of being in the rat race, and this country is just a giant rat race for the most part. Yeah, there's some entrepreneurs, but they're a very small percentage of the population who actually do well doing that. And it's not all their fault. A lot of it's just this economy is so bad now compared to what it has been that people are just giving up, and they're either distracting themselves with video games or something like that, or they're just going to end up leaving the country or finding an alternative where they don't need to pay for rent or mortgage, because whether you're paying for rent or mortgage, it's not a very good deal nowadays for a lot of people. Of course, you can get cheap rent, but in a lot of cases, even if you've got cheap rent, then you've got probably some problems like security, it's probably not in a safe area. So people are like, what is the point then? I may as well just move to a country where the cost of living overall is way cheaper. And the people talk about the immigration thing as well, like a lot of illegal immigrants coming into the country, and arguably it's not good for the economy to keep bringing these people in or letting them stay. I mean, that it's burdening the taxpayer and all that, and that's another point. Taxes are so high in this country, and even if you're on a relatively low income, like there's people who are on say 30k a year, and they're paying probably 20% of their income in tax. I don't know exactly how much it is per income and all that, but it's quite a chunk of the money. So you're left with much less money, disposable income. I'm talking about if you're having a few thousand cut off at say 30,000, then that's gonna be cutting off probably a good percentage of your disposable income, which is massive, and it makes it a lot more difficult to save your money up so that you can start to invest more and then get financially free. And I think it's all done deliberately. You've got, for example, corporations who are allowed to put money in tax havens. They don't do anything about it. The government doesn't care. so that they're not having to like pay tax on their money, and it's just a absolute disgrace. You've got people who are like pretty much destitute paying tax, and then you've got people um, who are like kind of like these billionaires, these wealthy tycoons, and corporations paying next to no tax, if any at all, because they have their ways of moving money around. And yeah, it's just an absolute joke. And people are getting sick of it. That's why you're getting people moving to other countries where tax is a lot less, so the money they do make, less of it's going to the taxman. A lot of times that the taxes aren't even going to something useful for the majority of people. Like it's just going to like fund things like wars that we shouldn't even be getting involved in, for example, or just to give handouts to those that don't even need it. So it's just, you can see why people are getting quite annoyed at the state of things, but I also don't think that people should be getting annoyed at the immigrants coming in, because at the end of the day, they're coming from some bad situation themselves. I think we should try and empathize with it more, that they're probably coming from worse situations than we are. So, and I know it kind of sucks, but it's like we need to sort our economy out. Otherwise, people are going to leave more and more. And yeah, it's just going to get worse and worse. Like, you're going to end up probably with negative GDP. It's going to get more and more recessions, because no one's even going to try anymore. And unless people are going to try more, then you're not going to have the productivity to fuel the economy. So if we had a more thriving economy, then it'd probably be better for people in general. Like, if we had actually people in charge who actually give a damn, who actually will redistribute wealth to those who need it, instead of it to go to the corporations who don't deserve it, the ones who are oftentimes cutting corners to just to like get more and more money. And of course this is a Western problem in general, but the UK government just doesn't care. Like, people voted in Keir Starmer, who's just as bad as the Tory pieces of crap that is replaced. So people thought, oh well, he's Labour, he's going to be more for the working class, but no, he doesn't care. He's literally like took away a heating allowance from, I think it's disabled elderly people, or which are some of the most vulnerable people in society. So it goes to show where their priorities are, that they don't care about the most vulnerable people, even though Labour is supposed to be about kind of fighting for the little man. It's absolutely a joke. And yeah, so there is ways of getting ahead. Like I said, you can invest, you can put into like index funds or something like that, but it does take time, and depends whether you're willing to wait it out. But for some people, maybe it's better to just move abroad where it's cheaper, and maybe they'll put some money into an investment, go move abroad, and then that money that maybe by the time they put it in an investment for a few years. By the time that's happened, they've got enough money in an investment to then go retire abroad in some cases. For example, if you can put like a few thousand in every year, but after a few years with the compound interest, you might have enough to just retire abroad, and just and you could be starting up a side hustle while you're doing that as well. You could be you could just start a YouTube channel, and then you've got an income that you can do abroad, and you can live a chill life without the stresses of all these bills. Like, no one wants to be slaving 9 to 5 on a job they hate. In a lot of cases, people are not just working 9 to 5, but then they might be working overtime if they have a high cost of living, or just the fact that they have to travel to and from work. Like, for example, my dad, like, he works, like, quite a few hours a day, and he doesn't even get that good sleep, because by the time he goes to work, gets home, and all that, it's like there's not much time left over in the day. Like, it's to do anything good for yourself. Like, it's just that's the thing. It's like a lot of people are just stressed out, and they've decided, I give up. They either end up leeching off the state, or moving to another country, or doing van life, or living off grid, or just camping, or something like that. There's even literally people renting out storage units or garages, living in that. I mean, people have got to do what they've got to do, I guess. But obviously, don't break the law. But just yeah, it's sad to see the way things are going in this country, where people can't even afford to buy a house anymore. Even people that are over 30 years old, 40 years old, and they're still, oftentimes they're still living with their parents. Like, you would have been shamed at one time if you were still living with your parents. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the attitude is a change, because it's like, it's kind of like to a point where it's like living with your parents is just the new norm. Like, people are like, just, yeah, whatever, I guess I'll just stay with my parents. And like, there should be more people being pissed off and about it, because it's a sign of the times that we live in this country. You've got people getting useless degrees at uni, and they haven't got anything to show for it. Like, a lot of people in the UK especially were pushed into going to uni to get a degree, and then they've got all this student debt to pay off. So a lot of people have not only taxes to pay, but then they've got their student debt to pay, which, yeah, it's not like massive amounts every month, but like, you can be paying that off for many, many years. And there's a massive opportunity cost, because it might mean you have a lot less money to invest into things. And like with the compound interest, and it's like you could have eventually used that to start your own business. And it's just it's like, what's the alternative? Like, yeah, you can get into trades, and that can make you a good income in this country, but it's just, in fact, a lot of people just find it's not worth it. They don't want to break their back every day just to be like, put into a higher tax bracket where they're paying more to actually. I guess it depends. If you're self-employed, then you'll be paying less tax, but you'll still have to pay some tax. And it's just, with the higher cost of living now, it's just, for a lot of people, just not worth it. Like, it's just not everyone wants to be doing that kind of stuff. And then it causes a housing shortage, and you've got all these skilled workers, they're moving abroad now. And it's like, now you've got a lot less houses being built. You've got people coming into this country that are not going to be probably helping so much with the housing shortage, perhaps. And it's just, unless they're going to be helping out with the housing shortage, then I don't think we should be letting them stay here. But that's kind of like a bit of a contentious issue, I understand. It's like, but like I said, I don't think we should be blaming them all for it. It's just it's the government we should be looking at, that they're making really bad decisions for the majority of people. And it's just time that we all just like just try and figure something out, and we all should be trying to come together, put our differences aside, because it's sad to see the way things are going. The fact that people are feeling the need to move to a different country just to live a good life. There's so many people who have just like spent so many years working their asses off and paying into a system that gives no F's about them. Yeah, it's absolutely it's an abomination, to be honest with you. And a lot of people are just too tired to even give a damn. They just get home and then they just think about, oh, I'll just have some food and then watch a bit of TV and then go to bed and then just repeat the same thing the next day. So, yeah. But what I will say is that where there's a will, there's a way. If you want a good life for yourself, there is a way. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, because I will be talking a lot about that, and I will be giving out some ideas on how you can improve your lifestyle and also your health and your well-being and all that stuff holistically. So yeah, so I don't really have much else to say. I hope you all have a good day. So yeah, if there's anything that I left out, any other thoughts, and if you disagree, then put it in the chat. But I think I've explained the situation pretty well, and yeah, constructive criticism I appreciate, but yeah, but have a blessed day, everybody. I'll see you all at my live later. All right, take care. Bye.